then he started talking about, well, I'm just afraid that Republicans believe in way too many conspiracy theories. And I was like, I understand that it's incumbent upon us to say, okay, no, this is not true. We need to shoot down lies and misinformation. But I looked at him, and I got this from a skit that I had seen one time. I said, but you don't believe in any conspiracy theories? I mean, you just think that government's out here batting 1,000, telling us the whole truth, working on our best interests. As someone who's worked in Washington for 11 months now, I can tell you, the bureaucratic system there, the administrative state is not working for our best interests. They are working for theirs.
Hey everybody, comedian Maz Jobrani here. What you were just watching was a conversation between GOP candidate for Senate out of Arizona, Blake Masters, and GOP, loser, Madison Cawthorn. He lost his congressional seat in North Carolina because the Republicans finally decided to not back him because he said that Republicans were having orgies and coke parties. So that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Madison Cawthorn is out. Blake Masters is trying to come in, and they're sitting together having a conversation about conspiracy theories, because that is the strategy that a lot of MAGA Republicans are taking now to explain how the world is against them. A lot of white dudes are saying the world is against us. There's a conspiracy against us. And these two guys are there sitting together and laying the groundwork for the conspiracies that they're going to talk about. Madison Cawthorn is saying that the government is not looking out for you. They're looking out for themselves. And they will use these kinds of arguments to explain things as to why the election was stolen, as to why the pandemic was actually a plandemic, as to why the earth is actually flat. I don't know what's next. I'll tell you what's next. You're about to see. Blake Masters comes back and says that most of the stuff that we thought was a conspiracy turns out to be real 6 months later. Watch this.
And just go on Wikipedia. Not that Wikipedia is the best source, but read about MK Ultra.
Exactly.
Read about what the CIA did in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Are they all done doing that stuff now?
Absolutely not.
One suspects not,
institutionally ingrained in that.
And we've seen just in the last, really since COVID, I guess. Sometimes I want to say the last year, but it's actually we're coming up on year 2.
That's crazy.
Of this new.
Well, 2 weeks to slow the spread.
Two weeks to slow the spread turned into 500 days of sheer dystopia.
Exactly.
But the experts have had a bad go of it. They've gotten a lot of stuff wrong, and in so many cases, what's a conspiracy theory today turns out to be the truth in 6 months.
Yes, what's a conspiracy theory today turns out to be the truth in 6 months. Like what? Like hydroxychloroquine? Like put bleach into your body? Like what? The conversations are so not rooted in facts that it's easy to pick apart. Number one, here is Blake Masters saying that the experts would get things wrong as things would change. Well, first of all, science changes. That's the whole point of science. So as the pandemic was coming at us, ideas and things would change, and sometimes opinions would change, or sometimes the CDC would change their policies. Early on, for example, they were attacking Dr. Fauci about this, the right wing has, saying that early on, Dr. Fauci said, don't wear masks. Then he said, do wear masks. Well, when you talk to Dr. Fauci, you see that he says, I didn't want people making a run on the N95 masks that were going to be needed by doctors and other medical professionals. So there was a reason early on. And then we find out that the masks do help, or we find out that the vaccines do help. And for these guys to come out and say that something that was a conspiracy theory today ends up to be real in 6 months is disingenuous. Speaking of conspiracies, Blake Masters brings up MK Ultra, which was when the CIA was doing these LSD experiments on people. First of all, the guy who okayed that program is Alan Dulles. He was a Republican, just FYI. Secondly, sure, that's what these agencies do. Agencies do a lot of clandestine stuff. I was born in Iran. I can tell you the CIA did a coup in 1953 of a democratically elected leader, and they got rid of him, Mohammad Mossadegh, under the Dwight Eisenhower administration, another Republican, by the way. But all of that to say, yes, there have been conspiracies that were real in the past, and there still might be some conspiracies, but just because conspiracies existed does not mean that you can turn around then and just start creating your own conspiracies. You can't then sit there and go, somehow the Democrats got together with Dominion Voting and stole the election, even though Republican judges and Republican appointees and everyone that's looked at it has said that the election was not stolen. And yet, a guy like Blake Masters claims the election was stolen. But by the way, just an FYI, talk about conspiracies. He took that part of his claim off of his website after he won the Republican nomination in Arizona, because he knows he's going into the general election and he doesn't want to be considered or seen as being too crazy. Now, let's look at some other Republicans that have other conspiracy theories and look how it all comes together. Here we go. Stephen Miller.
Of course, this is an administration that has launched a political raid of his chief political opponent's home to seize and steal his property and his documents. So what you are seeing is a classic technique of tyrants and authoritarians, where they use the methods of dictatorship while accusing their opponents of being fascist. This administration is authoritarian and repressive.
Oh, Stephen Miller. That guy just looks creepy. And again, it is such blatant distraction and deflection. He is now trying, a lot of the Republicans are trying to say that there was a conspiracy of going after Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago because he was holding on to those documents. It was a raid on the former president, the opponent of Biden. Let's go back for a minute. First of all, Donald Trump withheld money from Ukraine and encouraged Zelensky to look into any activity that Biden and Hunter Biden might have had in Ukraine. So he was using his position as the president in an authoritarian way to try and go after his opponent. That, my friend, is a fascist technique. That, my friend, is authoritarian. Number one. Number two, let's look at what happened at Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump took documents he was not supposed to take. Donald Trump has been committing crimes since he was, I don't know, in his early 20s, whenever he was able to start committing crimes. And it's gotten so far that he took top secret documents that reveal the identity of a lot of our intelligence agents in the field. And these people are so unpatriotic that their loyalty is tied to Donald Trump, and they're defending him, and they're saying that Donald Trump was the victim. He was not the victim, Stephen Miller. You're the victim. Just vote, people. Just vote. Vote blue or vote sane. If you're going to vote Republican, vote sane Republican. These people are creating their own conspiracies, and they're laying the groundwork. All of this stuff that we just saw of them talking about conspiracy theories and the world is out to get Donald Trump and it's all a witch hunt. If you keep saying there's a witch hunt, every month it's a new witch hunt, maybe you're a witch. Maybe you've done something that's actually a reason for you to be hunted. You understand what I'm saying? This guy, he's broken. He was impeached twice. He tried to overthrow the government. He sicked his thugs on members of Congress, and for 1 minute, Republicans had a backbone and was stood up to him. But now they're back and they're defending him, and it's all based on lies. Vote blue, vote sane. Maz Jobrani, see me live at Maz Jobrani. I will tell jokes. Bye-bye.